everyone. This is Kim O'Neill from the Every Day's a New Day podcast and live show, and you're listening to the Going North podcast with the hilarious Dom Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his show so you don't miss any episodes, and remember, every day is always a new day.
Today's episode is sponsored by book number 2 from Dominic Dom Brightman, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. It is the field guide to help unleash the elite performer that is inside of you. Cop it today on Amazon.com or heading over to dombrightman.com and snag it in book, ebook, and audio book, so that way you can take it on the go and get yourself on the go to your northbound success. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, we got another super special, awesome human for you today, courtesy of this super special, awesome book, folks. That's right, indeed, the fourfold formula for all things wellness. That's right, indeed, all things wellness. So all the water, y'all. That's right, indeed, all the wells, indeed. That's right, indeed. But they ain't gonna be about water today. We got our first at-bat author from that super special, awesome, best-selling book, because today's super special awesome human is a former human resources senior director with over 40 years of international experience in software, engineering, and professional services industry. So who knew that you could do HR in a past life and the same life at the same time and be 20 years old? She holds accreditations and certifications in leadership, and she teaches HR at the university level and coaches individuals who wants to get to their next level and reinvent themselves. She's all about the mighty R known as reinvention. So let's give it up for the sensational and powerful Sylvie Plante. How you doing today, Sylvie?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. It's great to have you on. That's right indeed, because you're a fellow high-performing human like myself, and you like to do things and like to rack up all the gold medals and help out other people. So my goodness, did you always realize that you were a peak performer since you were smaller?
Well, I was drawn to be a peak performer because we have all kinds of things that happen in our past, and kids' word impact you more than you think. And when I was young, my older brother kept telling me I was stupid. So I guess I spent my whole life trying to prove that I wasn't stupid, which I ain't. And I do have the IQ test to prove that, on the contrary. But I guess that's one of the reasons that prompted me to be a very high performer, and also that I wanted to be really independent, and I wanted to succeed because I wanted to be independent. So, two main reasons, I guess.
There you go. That want for independence. That's right indeed. But hey, I guess you discovered dependence down the road later, according to the story in the book.
Some sort, yeah.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, so that desire to prove how freaking of a genius you are, you found the mighty land of HR. So what led you to HR?
All my life I've been open to opportunities, and although I was more not as in tune within myself, but I've always been who I was. And at some point, I moved up the ladder of different position, and somebody in HR said, well, we want to train future HR people, and we want somebody who's able to say no, or like think on their feet, or whatever it was. So I have to say that there were 18 people that applied for 2 jobs, and me and my colleague were the only 2 who didn't have a bachelor's degree and were taken for the job. And that's how my HR career started. And I've been I would say a very great HR person, because I'm not a traditional HR person. So that's how I got in.
Okay, there you go. So that's right. She's all about the H and HR, y'all. She's all about the humans, y'all.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, later on, I discovered when I started in coaching that unveiled, if I can say, my passion for supporting people and their growth and their fulfillment. And I realized that I always had that. But because of my high performer, high achiever mode, I was not necessarily as aware that I was doing that with people. But I guess it's always been there. And I have to say it comes from my parents as well. So.
I guess the parents love helping other people too, then?
Well, I have to say that my dad had businesses, and I've met different people that said that he was one of the only person they would ever worked again work for again because of the way he treated people. So I guess that's how I've been raised. And when I started my HR career, we were in a company in '88 that was very open to diversity, equity, employment equity. So I've been raised in HR with that concept like 30 some years ago. So for me, this is nothing new. I remember some discussion with my family about diversity that no, it shouldn't be, no. But yeah, there's nothing, we should only be concerned with what somebody can do and what they can bring as a human being. So, and unfortunately, people are afraid of differences. So that creates a lot of barrier.
Well, yeah, it's true. It's like, hey, when it comes to that, dude, some folks focus on the mountains, some people focus on the Nikes. It's like, hey, ain't nothing wrong with differences. It's right
Yeah.
indeed. It's
Yeah.
right to make us better.
Absolutely. And you learn. I mean, if everybody were the same, how would you learn? That's how you grow, by being surrounded by different people, learning from other people. So diversity of ideas, diversity of point of view. There's so much to gain from diversity.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed. That magical D. That's right indeed, especially when it comes to those ideas. Indeed. And especially being a lady, because I mean, with 40 years of HR experience, I'm sure there was some darn glass ceilings. I'm pretty sure you had to break through during your time to really get to where you are now with all this wisdom you've acquired.
Well, you know what? I've never experienced that myself. I was raised, I mean, my parents treated me like my brothers when and they were like, I'm talking in the 60s. And I've never felt that I was treated differently as a woman. I might have been, but I never experienced it. And any position that I wanted, I got. So, and I got to very senior position. So I'm fortunate. I know I'm probably an exception. A lot of people don't have that privilege, if I can say, but I don't know if it was my mindset that for me, it didn't matter that I was a woman. Maybe because I was also acting a bit like men. I was a bit, I was a bulldozer, like me, you gave me a project, I was running through like a bulldozer. So I don't know, maybe that had part to do with it. I guess that I was fortunate that people were seeing what I was able to do instead of seeing that I was a woman. So that's
Oh,
my experience. I know that a lot of people don't have that experience. So
yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes you got to dodge a bunch of bear traps and swamps. It's definitely can be a little bit tiresome, but hey, it's like, hey, just walk in and be like, hey, I'm gonna take charge, baby. This right there is gonna knock these folks dead.
yeah, oh, for taking charge, I took charge. Sometimes too much, but that's okay.
Ah, that's right indeed. So when did you realize that you took too much charge?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that when everybody saw me as this super confident, bold, no issue person, but deep down, I think that I had more self-worth issue than I realized. And there's part to reassure you that you need to control to a certain degree. I mean, I wasn't a control freak, but I wasn't a control freak necessarily with others all the time, but a lot from my perspective, I needed to control and know where I was going. So I guess that was to reinforce a bit that lesser self-worth issue. So the more that I realized it, the less I'm, like when I was about 20 years ago, if people would come to my house for dinner, and even if there would be 10 people, I wouldn't accept any help. I needed to do everything by myself. I needed to do the dishes. I needed to do the meal. I needed to serve. Today, go ahead, take my kitchen and do whatever you want, and I'll just be happy to eat what you're doing. So, and it also has to do, yeah, with accepting help, I guess, also.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So the self worth, I'm assuming that's what led to the story in the book where you actually jumped up on the scale, if I'm not mistaken.
I jumped up, sorry, from?
Yeah, jumped up on the scale.
Oh yeah, you mean when the the weight got off the roof?
Yeah, where the weight found Jesus and it became a Protestant and it became saved for a bit and just stayed on
Yeah,
you a little too long.
yeah, yeah. The thing is that, yeah, that things to do with it. And I also realized that I was more anxious than I thought I was, and that I was often eating my emotions. And so I've always had fluctuation in my weight. I mean, I as an adult, I weighed as low as 120 pounds and as high as on 260. So more than double my weight. But I had periods much lower, period higher, but that period was a real difficult one, the one that I'm talking in the book, because of the pressure I had. I was not taking care of my health, not eating well. We didn't know that I was suffering from sleep apnea as well, and the perimenopause. So they're all, with depression, they're all the same symptoms, lack of energy, lack of memory, lack of sleep, and weight gain. So that's when I got the most weight gain, if I can say. And I've learned since then. And recently, now I know I've lost back 80 pounds. Well, I've lost 80 some pounds. I gained about 30, lost them, gained them, lost them. And then last year, I realized that I had 50 pounds again too much. So I started back and now I'm down 52 and I have about 10 to go. And I'll be the lowest I've been in since 1994. And now it's not a struggle. It's just I really changed my perspective with food and what it is. And now I'm a slim person, an healthy slim person, because I want to live until I'm way over 900 and active, because I have an
Uh,
amazing genetics. My dad is 98 and he calls his 100-year-old sister every week. So
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's right, grow the Centenarian Club, indeed. Folks in their hundreds, that's right, indeed. Keep making the government mad and be like, yeah, Social Security. It's like, hey, why y'all still living? We made this thing. We didn't think y'all were going to keep living this long. Like, why? It's like, hey, we're
yeah,
human. We're supposed to live, darn it.
yeah. Well, my idol is Betty White. I want to die like Betty White, doing what I love to the my last breath. So that's what I'm preparing myself to do.
There we go. That's right, indeed. A darn good goal, indeed. That longevity right there. That's right, indeed. That's right, that longevity, indeed. So, my goodness, so with this wonderful book, everybody had to contribute certain stories. And what was your thought process with choosing your story to add to the book?
My thought process. Um, well, when I was introduced to the project, I said, okay, what can I say? And I think that I said that this depression in 2009 was a defining moment for me. And, some people ask me, do you regret? Would you have done something different? And I said, well, could I avoided it? Yes, but I'm grateful for it because I am who I am today for that. And I've never been as happy as I am today because it started me in a, if I can say, a soul searching inquiry within myself that lasted about 10 years. Okay. And I think that I wanted to show, to share that, it's there's moments in life that are hard, and also with depression. It wasn't the first one, and I'm one of the first people that were openly talking about that. And I know that by being open, it might help people. And it's not because you have a depression that it means that you won't function or that you're not a good person. It's just that it's a moment in your life that circumstances happen. You dealt with it in a given way. There's also, for some people, a chemical imbalance. So there's many reasons. But a lot of people let themselves be defined by that and think that they cannot do after as much. And I mean, I've been stuck for a while. There's a while that my biggest fear was to be sick again. So I was limiting myself in what I could do because of that fear of getting sick. Because I was a year off, but it took me probably 4 years before I could say that I was really functioning okay. 4 or 5 years, and I promised myself I would never get sick again for a job or for something. So I've made choices for that. And today, yeah, it was a roller coaster ride and a difficult ride, but I'm so happy with where I am, and I've never had so many fantastic people in my life, relationship, and I know that my purpose is to make a difference for people, and that's what I live. And I don't think that if I had done that, I would have stayed in that high performer zone and probably would have died of a heart attack. you know. So yeah. So that's why I wanted to talk about that story, because I felt that if it can give hope to people that yeah, there can be difficult moments and they can persist, and they can be way longer than we want to, and that's what happened to me. And one of the things that I want to do is help people not suffer as long. Yes, they have to go through the process, they have to go through the experience, but can I help them go through it a bit faster with a bit less struggle, and yet arrive at the same enhancement of themselves, if I can say. So if that story can help on that, that's why I chose that story. And that we can change.
Yeah, that's right indeed. You can become a quarter instead of a nickel, y'all. You can change indeed. That's right.
That's a good one. I use that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's right indeed, especially for those Nickelback fans. Let me stop.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But it's a good thing you shared that, because a lot of folks are going through depression, and a lot of folks have gone through the whole yo-yo of these past couple of years with everything. It's like, oh yeah, being slim and slender, pandemic. Oh crap, I didn't find a way to stay as active. I got
yeah.
some pounds. It's like, no, it's like, I got some more baggage. It's like, hey, let's drop them. And some folks like, oh crap, it came back again. It's a yo-yo. Like, no, dang it. So yes, definitely get you added that story to the magical book to inspire folks. Like, hey y'all, sometimes you have to really recruit some folks, get some coaches, get that help indeed. That's right. Look outside of yourself. Be like, hey, you
Yeah.
need a team to chisel the statue.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate most people don't seek help, or for different reason. Some people don't think they need help, even though, or they don't want to admit, or they don't know that help, like what I provide, exists. And unfortunately, or just because they shame themselves. A lot of people, when I had my first depression in 93, people were surprised that I was talking about it, because in those days, you would have a heart attack and it was okay, poor you can take the time that you need, but you had a depression, no, you're weak, you know, and that persisted for quite some time. I mean, even there's still some prejudice against that, not as much, but yeah, no, there's nothing wrong. It's just that it's a moment in your life, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. On the contrary, it's because you want to look and you want to change, and you know that there's something that needs to change in your life for you to be fulfilled and live the life that you want.
Yeah, that's right indeed. Gotta get the times have changed to where it's like, all right, cool, mental health is finally on the forefront because it's like, hey, like if your software is jacked up and you don't update it, it's gonna be for a rude awakening if you don't get in front of it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, and I'm a curious person, an avid learner. I've been doing personal development since I'm 16, and I'm gonna do it. That's the other thing I'm gonna do until I die, because there's so much richness in sharing with other and learning different perspective, and admitting that, hey, you don't have all the answer, I'm not always right, and there's other perspective, and that's really enriching when you can see other perspective. And I used to have discussion like 10 years ago. It was like I needed to be right, whatever I was saying, I was right. And today it's no, I just want to have the discussion for the discussion and see, different point of view. I might think I'm right, but I'm going to be really open to say, okay, yeah, that's another point of view. Let's see. I might stick to my point of view, or I might say, your point of view makes a lot of sense. So let's change my point of view.
So 2 plus 2 is George Washington. I get you. That's right.
You have those. You cracked me up in the other podcast that you always have one to whoop, comes from nowhere. Here it is.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's like, hey, you don't feel like always having to prove that you're right all the time. It's like, hey, just wanted to see if it's for real.
Yeah.
Like classic meme online. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to argue with folks. If folks say 2 plus 2 is blue, then okay, fine. It's you. It's all you, buddy. I'm not gonna argue with you. It's a waste of time.
Maybe you see it as blue, and I mean, who am I to say that because I see it as orange that it's orange? Maybe they have a default in their eye, and that's why they see it as blue and I see it as orange. Or I have one default. So that's the other thing. We always think it's the other person that has the issue, but sometimes it's us. It's like, yeah, okay. So yeah, be open to learning and growing, and be open to admit.
There you go. That's right, indeed. Open to learning, indeed. So, what are you excited about for the future? Now you get to add published author to your resume. What's next for you?
Well, can I tell a little story? When I was about 20 years old, I was a very poor writer, but I was fascinated with people who could write. And I always said I would want to write a book, but I never thought it would be possible. And I really learned how to write when I did my master's. And in 2018, I was in New York with a friend, and we were just besides the New York Times building. And I told my friend, let's go take a picture because one day I'm going to be a New York Times bestselling author. Never knowing how it's going to happen. So this book for me is like the stepping stone in the publishing world. It's a first experience. I don't know when I'm going to publish a book, but I certainly know I will. And what I want is through that be more of a speaker. I mean, I want to impact people. So I have a partnership with someone where we create different programs that we call awakenings, where we're helping people to find awareness, clarity, and define roadmaps for them. And the more people that we're going to be able to impact, but that I wanted to be a platform where there might be 50, 100, 200 people in those classes. And then some speaking engagement and maybe some books that are tied to that. And also a novel. With a friend, we have a project of writing a novel as well. There's so much to do. I mean, I'm turning 60 this weekend, and as I say, I still have 40 years to go. There's so much I can still do in 40 years. It's incredible.
There we go. Any idea what the future novel may be about?
Well, yes, we started, as a matter of fact. It's just that we got too caught up in some of the stuff that we needed to do. But it's what we want to do. It's a bit of a police thriller, like crime police thriller. But throughout the book, there's a lot of personal development. So we want that story to be maybe the background of personal development and evolution. How's that sound?
There we go. That's right. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Sylvie's gonna put on her wonderful detective hat and pull out her magnifying glass. She's gonna have a thriller, y'all. That's right indeed. She's gonna pose on the cover, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right, from HR to investigative reporting. That's right.
Yeah. Not exactly, but yeah, we can put it. Well, I'm investigating in people. I'm helping people inquire within themselves. So that's some sort of investigation. So yeah.
Okay, there you go. That's right. That HR to IR. She's got it. She's investigating, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right. So those two magical books are gonna be dropping in the darn near future, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Next time you hear from Sylvie, she's gonna have some more published books, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. She'll have a whole forest of written novels, y'all. That's right.
Well, hopefully you said the next time. So does that mean that I'll be 10 years without being on a podcast? Hopefully not.
Hey, it don't have to take 10 years. You could take 10 weeks if you want.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be the novel. It could be your original book or a nonfiction book,
Yeah,
whichever one you
yeah.
choose.
I guess, and you know, we have such a tendency to think that everything takes time and everything is huge, and when in fact, yeah, sometimes you can do things way faster. It's the question of focus and knowing where you want to go and what you want to do. So yeah, you're right. I could write a book in 3 months. I could.
Yeah.
Will I do it now? No, but I could.
That's right. Just take all the time you need. That's right indeed. That's right.
Yeah.
Make sure the cake fully bakes.
Would be better. Yeah, tastes better.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right indeed. Don't want your book in a sunken place. That's right.
Mm. No.
That's right indeed. Well, speaking of cakes and bakes, if this wonderful book, The Fourfold Formula, if it was a food, what would it be and why?
It was a food. It would be comfort food for sure. It would be, I have a tendency to love French food because, as I said, I've been expatriated to Paris. So I guess I'm going to say a cassoulet. Do you know what a cassoulet is?
No, enlighten me.
Okay, a cassoulet is a dish from the south of France, and it consists of some different type of beans that are really like, they're not mushy, they're white beans that they put some duck leg, some pork sausage, and sometimes there another meat in there, and they let it cook for a long time. And when you take this, it's like at first you say, okay, it doesn't taste that much, but the more you taste it, the more you discover the taste, and there's the duck grease. I mean, it's delicious, and you eat it with a very nice South of France wine, red wine. So why I'm saying this, because it's full of subtle flavor. And I think this book is going to be, there's going to be subtle message in some of the stories. Some are going to be very evident, but some people might read a story without necessarily saying that they can relate, or it can mean something to them. And if they read it again, then they might realize that there's something more profound to that story, or that they relate. And since there are 40 of them, then there's a lot of subtlety throughout the book. And there's a lot to taste.
That's right indeed. That's right. A lot to taste, y'all. A lot to taste indeed. That's right. So don't lick Sylvie's chapter, y'all. That's right indeed. Don't lick the book. You got to read the book. Don't lick the book.
Yeah, read the book.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed.
I'm not
That's
sure
right.
that licking it would be that tasteful. So, but reading it might. So, well,
Hey, just saying.
if they want to do it, they can do it, but not recommending.
So, Dave, see a random stranger licking a book. Run for your life. It's a book licker.
Yeah. Who knows? It takes everything to make the world.
Oh, man. Before any more rabbit holes appear, coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is, if you don't wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in 2022, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, go all in. Believe in yourself and just go for your dream. Because that's one thing that I want to do. I want to work with teens so that they can work for their dreams. There's too many people that have had their dreams shattered, that are doing things because society, pressure, parents, whatever, and they end up at 40 not being fulfilled, and then they're trying to realize their dream and they're not able to do it. So I would say, yeah, if I would be 20 again, go for my dream. Mostly, the clearer your dream, the clearer you must go for it, and just keep persisting. It's going to happen. And one of the issues that people quit too quickly. Persistence is the key to your dreams. One of the key.
Okay. There we go. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So you heard it from Sylvie, y'all. She gave you one of the Alicia keys, y'all. That persistence. That's right, indeed. That's right.
Well, it might be better if you listen to her at the same time. So it might be inspiring. So.
That's right, indeed. You heard it right. Heard it right, folks. 5 years, Sylvie's going to be singing This Girl's on Fire because she gets to see herself on a random billboard as a New York Times bestselling author. That's right. One of those legitimate versions, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Where all the books will be on the shelves. That's right. And then she'll take a Sylvie selfie.
Sylvie selfie, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll see. Be on a small stage with when I say I want to be on stage, I'm not talking thousands and thousands of people. Who knows? I might get there. I don't know. But I'm seeing more and more intimate room, like 100, 150, so that there could be more connection with the people in the room. But who knows? Maybe one day there's going to be 25,000 and I won't be able to be intimate with everyone. So, but as long as I can impact people and make a difference for them, well, that's what's important.
Oh, go for both. Go for all the sizes. That's right. From 25 to 25,000. Go for all of them. That's right,
Yeah.
indeed. That's right, indeed. Big and small. Supersize it.
Yeah, why not?
Yes, indeed. That's right, indeed. Hey, goals live to 100. Might as well create more stories on the way. Speak in front of audiences. Be like, hey, y'all, let's live to 100, y'all. Let's do it. Let's do it. And then we can all together in unison tell all the young folks to get off of our lawns. That's right. That's right, for no reason. Maybe not that last part. Avoid the last part. But for those who need to stay on the lawn, aka all of your social media content and all the stuff that you're going to be producing in the future, and be on the lookout for when your future work is going to be out in the planet for the world to consume, what's the best way for folks to do so?
The best way for the time being is through my LinkedIn profile and my Facebook Create a Life by Design page. I'm working on that amazing website where people are going to know more about who I am and who I am for this world. So it's going to come soon. It's going to be sylvie-plante.com. So it would be easy, sylvie-plante.com, but it's not online yet. Stay tuned.
Well, there you have it, folks. Head over to Sylvie's LinkedIn. That's right, indeed. Stay connected. That's right. Be one of the good LinkedIn users and say hi. Don't be one of the evil LinkedIn marketers and be like, hey, let's get on a 30-minute call and talk about how I can sell you this thing you weren't even interested in and that you'll never be interested in. That's right, folks. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Be on the lookout because she's going to be cooking up some more content, indeed, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. She's got a chef hat ready, and then she's got the throne ready in the other room too. I mean, that's right, the throne and the crown. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Even a tiara. That's right. That's right, indeed. That's right,
Absolutely.
indeed. So, my goodness, any parting words before I close up shop, Sylvie?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this podcast. I sincerely hope that my story is inspiring some people to reach for their dream and go for it. And I would be pleased to have a chat with anybody who has listened to this post and wants to connect and see if I can make a difference for them. So I sincerely appreciate the opportunity, and make sure that you go buy the book.
Thanks a bunch for tuning in and setting aside some of your time to listen to this wonderful podcast, Going North. If you really enjoyed what you heard, do me a solid and share this with your network and someone that you care about that would get something out of it too. And be sure to subscribe to hear more, and heck, even check out the backlog if you would like, because there are hundreds of episodes to choose from, and they just keep getting better and not butter.